some NFL burning questions now. Louis Riddick, which person in the NFL has the most to prove, you think?
I'm going to say Jordan Love from the Green Bay Packers. Look, we know that during the regular season, since he's become a starter, the guy can light it up with the very best of them. It's just about whether or not he can raise his game in the postseason. The past 2 postseasons, 5 interceptions, 2 fumbles. He hasn't been the big-time performer that they need him to be on a roster right now that is loading up. This is going to be a team in the toughest division in all of football, I believe, in the NFC North, that can make some headway, but it's going to be dependent upon Jordan Love's ability to raise his game once they get to the playoffs.
Harry, you know the Bengals have got some big questions to make, so is 2025 a make or break year for Joe Burrow?
Not unless Joe Burrow decides he's going to retire after this season. So when it comes to Joe Burrow, we're talking about a guy that was first in passing yards and touchdowns, third in QBR and QB rating, and fourth in completion percentage. Now, what does happen is the antennas go up a little bit more after missing the playoffs the last 2 seasons.
Okay, Kmart, I want you to answer this one very carefully. Has the Cowboys Super Bowl window officially closed?
I want you to hear me very carefully, Brian. When was it ever open?
Hello.
No. In all seriousness, this iteration of the Cowboys, yes, it's closed. Because I say that because of how Jerry Jones conducts business. If he continues to overinflate what he has on his roster and not be aggressive in free agency, not pay guys when they want to be paid, I think, I don't see them getting to the Super Bowl.
And maybe I'm crazy, but wasn't it just a year ago the Cowboys won the division?
And then what has happened
and
since?
Dak Prescott was the best quarterback in the division?
How quickly things change.
You know, I need Brian to just host the show and take off the cowboy hat a little bit. That's what I need. If we're going to talk football for real today.
Brian, just do your job.
Do your job. Do your job.
Just Bill Belichick, do your job. All right? That's all we're asking.
So I'm saying if Dak Prescott comes back healthy, we know that the division leader always changes every year in the NFC
I know, but
East.
see now you're just kind of falling back on statistical measures that really don't have any nuance to them. Okay, the fact of the matter is, okay, Dak Prescott's coming back healthy, right? All right, that's one person.
Yes.
Now, I want you to look at Washington's roster and what it's going to project to be in 2025. I want you to look at Philadelphia's roster and what it's going to project to be in 2025. And you tell me where you fall on the hope meter.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Right. No, it really is. Look, this is a great question. And look, it all starts at the top. You know this. You know that Jerry Jones is the one. Look, he says, and I'm paraphrasing, but he has said this, that he bought this football team so he can be the boss of it.
And
so
he can run it himself.
And run it the way he wants. And he has made tactical mistakes as far as if you want to compare him to, let's just say Philadelphia, who right now, everyone from Joe Burrow to every fan base out there is trying to compare their football team to how Philadelphia runs theirs because they think that's the model. Okay, so Hembo, the great Hembo, sends the best stats every morning. From a cash standpoint, Philly has outspent Dallas by $78 million in cash the last 3 seasons.
Let me just stab your head a little bit, because that's a lot. That's
we're not
talking
facts. Salary cap dollars. We're talking real cash out of Jeffrey Lurie's pocket into the hands of the players, as opposed to Jerry Jones, who has this cash cow in the Dallas Cowboys, right? They print money, right?
Right.
Most valuable franchise in the world, or one of, right? $78 million over the past 3 seasons, Philadelphia has outspent. That doesn't mean go out and spend like drunken sailors and be irresponsible. You have to have the front office in place to make wise decisions. The coaching staff, who doesn't get enough credit in Philadelphia for developing and utilizing the players. So it's all, along a continuum.
And it's
Dallas is failing in every measure.
And it's also signing guys when they should be signed
Yeah,
instead of waiting at the last minute.
think
So
the word
help me out, though.
is a great word.
What is the Cowboys' biggest need when you look at this team?
I think overall, collectively, when you're looking at the Dallas Cowboys, the inability to stop the run is demoralizing for this football team. As an offensive player, when we play, one of the things that can demean a defense is when you run the football and you can run it at will when you want to. And what's demoralizing for the opposing team is when they know they can't stop it and they know you're going to do it. So I'm going to have Cindy pull up A46 for me really quick.
A46,
pull up A46 for me. Because I want y'all to see these are the last 5 Super Bowl winners. And when you look at their defense and the ability to stop the run, look at where they rank and look at where the Dallas Cowboys rank.
Graphic.
So when it comes to being Super Bowl contenders, you can't be a Super Bowl contender in my eyes if you have the inability to stop the run game. And the one team on there that wasn't in the top 10 was the Kansas City Chiefs, I think, in 2023. Well, guess what? Since 2019, they haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher in a game.
Right.
So, you know, this is all over the social media, and I want to get your perspective on this. Everyone is saying Cowboys should trade Micah Parsons and get assets, get like 3 number ones, get a player, and rebuild this thing. Your thoughts on that?
What? The graphic, Cindy's graphic, perfectly illustrates.
A46.
Why-
A46. Cindy, can you pull up A46 again? Listen, Mike Greenberg would be proud of me today.
Harry wants to be Greeny so bad.
This graphic tells you why you don't give up your top defensive player, because defense does win championships. And I understand why fans are like, we have so many holes, we need to get as much as we can from Micah. Some people even point out, oh, Michael's off the field, all his talking, they need to reset what culture is and all that. No. Because if the Cowboys were winning, Micah doing the podcast wouldn't be an issue. You need to get better players. You need to get other Micahs. You need to get other dogs who understand, like, on defense, you don't run against us. You don't come in our house and beat us on our home turf. And that's the problem with the Cowboys. Getting rid of him doesn't help you.
You know, what's interesting, you bring up a great point. I'm glad you said that. When you say fans say we have so many holes, we need more draft assets or draft capital in order to fill these holes. Why do you think you have holes? Because the people that you were picking in these prominent positions that you now have holes in made the wrong choices. Yep. So really, it's not about how many assets you have in order to go ahead and try and build up this football team. It's about maybe your player procurement process.
Listen, 2 of our favorite people here, Louis Riddick, Monica McNutt, 2 of our favorite substances. Listen, is that ridiculous? Is that McNutt?
Look at that.
We're going to do 2 of our best segments, but we're going to flip it.
Okay.
We're going to flip it.
Yeah.
Flip that thing. So we'll start with you, Louis. We're going to do...
fluid. It's fluid.
It's fluid.
It's fluid.
Stephen A. would say. Is that McNuts here? And let's start with the NFL. The Eagles will be the NFL's next dynasty, Louis. Is that McNuts?
No, that's not McNutt. Look, they're stacked right now. They're loaded. Everyone's coming back on offense other than Mekhi Becton, the starting right guard. They'll probably figure out a way to re-sign him. On the defensive side of the football, they draft defensive linemen and stockpile defensive linemen better than anyone. So we'll see what happens with Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, who absolutely terrorized Kansas City in the Super Bowl. But they're young at linebacker. They'll get Zach Bond re-signed. They're young in the secondary. This team is loaded, man. I think they're here to stay, unfortunately.
Okay, how about...
For those who play against them.
How about the Vikings? They should keep Sam Darnold and trade J.J. McCarthy. Is that McNutt?
Yeah, I think that is McNuts. Look, I'm a J.J. McCarthy fan, and I'm a Sam Darnold fan. I think Sam found the exact right spot for him in terms of system style and the way in which Kevin McCarthy and Josh McCown taught him this year and coached him and allowed him to continue to ascend all throughout the regular season until they got into the playoffs. But I think it's crazy to think that right now that J.J. McCarthy is not the future. He was on his way. He may not have started this year, but they had a great plan in place for him. I think he takes over in 2025.
Okay, Lewis. How about the Steelers? They should sign Aaron Rodgers. Is that Monica McNutt?
That's not Monica McNutt. That's Aaron Rodgers. And you know what? I think this is the kind of place that Aaron's going to have to go in terms of if he really wants to maximize his potential. And by that I mean this. You are not going to tell Mike Tomlin what kind of offense you want to run. You're not going to tell Mike Tomlin what offensive coordinator you want to bring in. But you will get from Mike Tomlin someone who's a proven winner and has great structure. That's probably what he needs at this point in his career, as weird as that sounds to say.
You know, the interesting thing here, speaking of Aaron Rodgers, our Adam Schefter said this really fascinating about a potential landing spot for the 41-year-old quarterback. Take a listen.
If the Rams couldn't get a deal done with Stafford, if they decided to trade him, a lot of ifs involved, then Aaron Rodgers, in my mind, would be thrilled with the idea of going to Los Angeles. And the Rams could probably get him at a lower cost than it would be for Matthew Stafford.
So you hear what Adam has to say. Obviously, if Stafford finds a new place, why does Aaron... Well,
you can do the basketball.
Okay.
What's about that?
We're gonna swap out.
All right.
We're going to talk about my team.
That's a power move, wasn't it?
I know the Jets.
Wow.
Listen, I host a show in New York. You might have heard of it. This has been a conversation every day. I got a lot to say about this.
Okay, if that's the case, then Louis, why does Aaron?
I got to reset.
Yeah.
You gotta reset. Okay, go ahead, go.
Okay, this is not McNuts that he's coming in on this.
I'm feeling a little bit McNuts right now, but yeah, go ahead.
Why, in your opinion, does Aaron Rodgers to the Rams make sense to you?
Look, like I said, when we were talking about Pittsburgh, he needs that kind of structure. He needs a coach who's going to say, hey, listen, you're not going to bring in your coordinator. You're not going to bring in your wide receivers. You're not going to run the plays you want to run. Sean McVay is as trusted as a head coach and play caller as there is in the NFL. He's a proven winner. He's a magnetic personality. He's a proven team builder and a proven head coach. And I think that system out there, we've seen what Sean's system can do. We've seen what this system can do throughout the NFL in terms of the heavy run, play action, under center type of system, which I think Aaron would absolutely tear it up in. He played good football last year. Things just got away from him because of the structure in New York. They let him do whatever he wanted to do. If he'll go to a place like LA, I think you'd see him have one of the best seasons of his career.
Wow. Does he have the humility? I guess that's the question, Kmart.
That's a question Aaron has to answer. Because when you're a future Hall of Famer and you're used to things being your way, Louis talked about the structure. That's what let everything get away. They brought him in to sort of build that structure, to help build the culture. So Aaron he's got to take a lot of responsibility for what happened in New York. That was on his watch. Now, I do believe going to a team like the Steelers, going to a team like the Rams, there's one voice in Pittsburgh. It's Mike Tomlin. So whether he'll have the best season, I don't know. I see it either being exactly what we saw with the Jets, or I see them finishing exactly like they did last year. I'm not convinced based on the diminished skill set that I've seen from Aaron, and I just don't know if he's going to have a monster season in Pittsburgh.
Hahn, you pointed out, you host the Jets show. You're here on
Talk about it, Alan. Talk about it.
You've seen him up close. Does he have enough left in the tank?
Yeah, on the field, skill-wise, we saw it at the end of the season that coming off an injury like that, it does take time. By the end of the season, he started to look more like a guy that definitely could be a starter in this league when you compare him to some other starters in this league. He had one of the great seasons by a quarterback in Jets history, and they were awful. Think about that for a minute.
That speaks to what the Jets were.
Absolutely right. But one thing I'll say is that we're talking about, we always try to take him now and say, but in this situation, in that situation, skill-wise, he's got everything you need. The problem is, what's not in his skill set is conformity. And that is something that buyer beware.
That's exactly why we're talking about. Where he goes is important, not in terms of who do they have. Well, that's always important at wide receiver, what kind of running game they have, offensive line and all that. But it's the person that he's going to be working with, the person that when he walks in the building, he's going to see first, the guy who's going to meet him first. If it's Sean McVay and Mike Tomlin, I'll put some money on that.
Wow.
I'll put some money on that working out. If it's something else, some coach that's going to go in there and be like, hey, Aaron, whatever you want, nah.